There are many resources available for the small business and entrepreneur. Today, we continue our series on the small business startups with the discussion from the UGA SBDC on this episode of Straight Shot Marketing Podcast.
Welcome to Straight Shot. Marketing is everywhere. It's around your life, from what you eat to what you wear and where you go. It is a vital part of any and all business. Let's discuss the world of marketing and business as it influences everyday life with the staff of Atlanta marketing agency Reformation Productions and guests as they give it to us straight. Get ready. Take aim. Steady. Welcome to Straight Shot.
This episode is sponsored by RIMS, a global organization dedicated to the profession of risk management. For nearly 60 years, RIMS has delivered the latest strategies and resources that allow risk professionals to grow, innovate, and succeed in any business. RIMS works with industry leaders to provide content and online training that business professionals can turn to. Topics include business continuity, cyber risk, risk management techniques, the fundamentals of insurance, and more. There's also a private, members-only site where people can discuss sensitive issues and get honest answers. Members have been leaning on each other as we all navigate this pandemic. If you're concerned about the safety of your employees and the sustainability of your organization, then you need the resources and connections that RIMS provides. Learn more at go.rims.org/shot. You could get 25% off a year-long membership. Welcome again to our audience. Today, we have a guest with us from the Small Business Development Center at the University of Georgia, Mr. Benny StaRomana.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone.
Welcome, Benny.
Yeah, thank you.
Now,
glad to be here.
Before we get into the interview, you and Zachary have actually known each other for quite some time. Can you tell me a little bit about that relationship?
Well, when I had my own management consulting company back in 2010, I organized what's called a masterminds group. Mm-hmm. And one of the members, Sarah Poe, knew Zach. Mm-hmm. And because I said, we need someone in marketing. And so Sarah said, let me volunteer, Zach. So
he loves it when people volunteer him.
Yeah. So Zach walked in the next meeting, and we liked him right from the start.
I like him too.
Yeah, the whole idea behind the Georgia Masterminds group was to get people that represented different industries to kind of come together and kind of mastermind about how business works. And so yeah, it was a nice group.
So you are with the UGA SBDC,
right?
Okay, lots of alphabet going on there.
Yeah.
The UGA part is the University of Georgia.
Correct.
Now the SBDC, mm-hmm. the Small Business Development Center.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about the history and purpose of that?
Sure. Back in 1976, mm-hmm. the College of Business of UGA. The dean, his name is Dr. Llewellyn, okay. Basically thought, well, if Fortune 500 companies can afford $600 per hour consulting, what about the small business owners, who comprise 50% of employed workforce and who generate, again, another 50% of GDP. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Llewellyn spoke with SBA, Small Business Administration, to establish, small business consulting services for small businesses. So there was prototyped, it was betaed for about 4 years, and then President Carter signed it into law in 1980. And now we are about 1,000 offices nationwide, including Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands.
That started in Georgia?
It started in Georgia, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
See, that's something that I didn't even know. I didn't know that.
Well, and speaking of that, what is the relationship? How does it work through the UGA?
UGA has been was assigned as the governing body for SBDC,
okay.
Because it as a university, it is a learning organization. It is a research organization, and so businesses need that. They need someone to research and analyze data. So we do that for businesses. So it was a perfect fit for a university and SBDC to be together, and that is the model nationwide. So
Excellent. That makes perfect sense to me.
So the SBDC works together to help business owners. So tell me about the help that the SBDC provides. What can a small business person or entrepreneur do by going to the SBDC?
Okay, well, let me frame my response, from a business owner standpoint, right?
Sure.
So, a business owner is always thinking about revenues, thinking about controlling or managing finances, and managing operations or production and the service delivery, right? So, if those are the areas that concern business owners, those are the areas that we help in. And so UGA, SBDC, or SBDC for that matter, hires or onboards experienced individuals who have, in the state of Georgia, it's a master's degree in business is required, and also a track record in corporate America or entrepreneurship or both. So they hire these individuals to help the business owners. So when a business owner comes to us and says, "Well, I need help, I need a loan," and so like a good, internist or general practitioner, all right, something is painful, but let me do a full physical exam. And so we go through like a checklist of the critical success factors of the business. And it may turn out, and it has turned out actually in actual cases where a client business owner comes in with a loan requirement and ends up, he needed a strategic plan for the business because he was positioned wrong for the market he was targeting. And so that was slowing down and preventing revenues from generating, and he had to come for a loan, which he thought would save the business.
It's a small business diagnostic, is what it is.
Correct.
That's excellent.
Really? That's a very good way to put it.
What other types of resources are available through the SBDC?
We create and deliver classes specifically tailored for business owners. So we have what's called a Grow Smart program. That is a 5-week, 1-day-a-week program. That I call that a micro MBA. And I've, as a business consultant for SBDC, I've gone through 2 business schools. And when I went through this Grow Smart program, I learned maybe 20% more of what I didn't know previously. So we create those programs. We do research. We have available to us consultants, very high quality research databases. Like IBIS World, for one, gives you a periscope of the future of your industry and a rear view mirror of what it was like in the past. So that gives us a platform for strategic planning. We have a tool called ESRI, Environmental System Research Institute, a research database, that gives psychographics, demographic data about target populations or target markets of a business. So this, all these tools provide really business intelligence to the business owner. Without, this kind of consulting, and you've heard, the stories from friends and family. I like to start this business because I really love it, and I think people are going to come, and so they start a business. Yeah. And so you have the statistics that show that within the first 5 years of a new business, about 60 to 70% don't make it. So,
and that's so sad.
So we try to help reduce that percentage.
Yeah. I've actually taught at one of the SBDC events that was tied in with the chamber. It was like a boot camp where I was there, and I think I did 2 or 3 classes within one day. And the students just went from class to class.
Yeah, that's extensive. And, I think one of the great things that you're talking about as well is all of that's current information. Because, you have business owners that may be inheriting a business from their family, but they kind of need to know what the demographics are now and how things are playing out in real time.
Right.
there is really nothing sadder than starting out on a dream with no plan and then having to, call it in.
Well, I think that a lot of it has to do with there's resources that they need to develop a cohesive plan that they're unaware of.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, a lot of business owners, they're like, hey, I want to do a restaurant because I make really good barbecue, and that's all they know. You know, so they can go to the SBDC and go through and, to build your plan, because a lot of people don't even know what a plan looks like, right? These are the different elements that you need, and here are the resources that you need to pull that plan together.
Yeah. Making sure all your boxes are checked, before you head out. So you have talked a lot about a lot of wonderful resources. I hear a lot of classes, things like that. How is the SBDC funded, and is there much cost for the entrepreneur?
Our services are at no cost, and so
What?
yeah. So in addition to the educational programs that we provide actually 80% of our activities are one-on-one business consulting with business owners. So that consulting service is at no direct cost to
That's amazing.
to business owners. And to your question on how we are funded, the state of Georgia, or specific, the corresponding states where the other
Right.
SBDC offices are. In the case of state of Georgia, they provide about close to 50% of our budget. And Small Business Administration provides the federal counterpart of close to 50%.
That's fantastic.
And so they funnel these funds to the UGA, and we are actually part of UGA now. We are considered faculty, consultants are. And so close to 5% funded by corporate, entities.
Yeah.
So I invite any and all business owners in the state of Georgia
Basically, what he's saying is, it's free to you.
It's a free
You have
resource.
no excuse. None.
Right.
So you have all of this funding that's coming in from the government so that you can help business owners, so that you can help people.
Right.
Why? Why does the government care about helping small business? Talk to that a little bit.
Well, I get a little emotional when answering a question like that.
We didn't bring the tissues.
Yeah. and when I teach the business classes over at SBDC, I say something as simple as I love America, because America, our country, recognizes this country was built on entrepreneurship and by entrepreneurs.
The American dream.
Yes, and so recognizing that, the government has deemed it fit to support small business. And so, of course, our funding is essentially from tax dollars, right? So again, because it exists by virtue of law. And a small percentage of the national budget goes into what we do. So, to your question, Zach, why we do it? Well, because firstly, the country loves small business.
Yeah.
The small business built the country, and it's let's continue promoting small business.
Absolutely. So, what exactly is your role there?
I'm a business consultant for UGA SBDC.
Okay.
So I provide the one-on-one consulting services and as well as teach classes.
So he's the contact. When I send someone to the SBDC, I don't send them to the door. I
send them to Benny.
To him. That's right.
Benny's a man. That's right.
And just to add a bit of what we do, business owners, they come to our offices. We usually meet with them for 1.5 to 2 hours. We set goals so that the meetings have significance and meaning. And so there's jobs to be done by the business owner, jobs to be done by the business consultant, and the whole goal is to advance that business so that it becomes profitable, and it really becomes a bona fide source of income for the business owner. And that's our goal for each and every client. We want them to be successful.
So tell me, I know why I send clients to the SBDC, to you. But what are some of the common situations that you see when business owners walk into your door, right? What are some of the situations that you see? What are they needing? Why are they coming to you?
Some of them come because their cash flow, because of cash flow. They don't have enough working capital to support the business, and so they come to us for help in getting a bank loan or raising investor funds. So we help them in that area, and there's a lot of detail that goes into that: business planning, financial projections, and also just brainstorming with the business owner. Why is there a reason for the business to exist today, as opposed to 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Now do we need transformation in the way the business does does its business, or are you just falling short really of operating capital? So this kind of deep discussions happen, and in my office I have a tissue box. Yeah, so
Wow.
because
They can get emotional.
because for many the business is their baby, and they don't want to see it fail. But I will interject at this point that there was a survey by our SBDC Tennessee office made to business owners. The question was, what are the top 10 things, top 10 resources, top 10 tools, aids that you needed at the start of your business that would have made you more successful? Number one was education. It wasn't money, it wasn't sales, it wasn't other things, but it was education. If I knew better, I would be more successful today than because I would have had that education.
I think, people set out, when they want to become business owners, it's because they have a skill, a talent, or a product that they really believe in. And so they want to make some money off of it.
Sure.
And so they come to you knowing how to cook the world's best steak.
Right.
And, they've been cooking steak for their families forever, and they're ready to monetize it and make a business, make a restaurant out of it. And that's what they know. They might even know a little bit about running a restaurant.
Right.
They might even know a little bit about inventory and getting your products delivered and all that. And but running a business is very different, because it takes a very specific skill set to manage employees and taxes and just the day-to-days of running an office.
Right. Well, there's a lot of things that you have to plan, and a lot of, I know in my experience, and I'm sure you've seen the same thing with entrepreneurs, small business owners that are first starting. They have no idea what they're doing. They just know what they want to do.
Exactly.
The how-to they don't know.
They just know what they're
good
at.
So that's where that educational factor comes in, which is, again, one of the reasons that we're doing this series is so that we can talk about those resources that are available out there to help small business owners in doing that. Now, we talked a little bit about people that are struggling with cash flow. You also have, like I said, entrepreneurs that have no business and they want one. So what do you see when those people come to you? What are the first things that you can tell that they need?
Well, for instance, I would say this. I interview them. I see, first I try to help establish the viability or feasibility of that business through the use of these data tools. Again, IBIS World is one of the tools that we use. Is there demand for this business? What is the growth rate of this business in the next 5 years? And there are hundreds of industries that address that question. So if it's established that there's promise for this business, okay, good. Now, so strategically, there is logic, there's reason for starting this business. All right. So now let's look at let's deal with the minutia, the details of making this happen. Your strategic plan, your operations, your production, your marketing, and your administration. Meaning, under administration, back office as we call it, would be accounting, finance, insurance, and technology. So we look at all those. We discuss all of those success factors, with the business owner, and we ask the business owner to put them together in a plan How I express this to clients is when I started my own business, before I made a business plan, I thought I had 10 good ideas. And then I was kind of forced to make my own business plan, right? Because I joined the contest. And after making my business plan, guess how many of those 10, percentage-wise, turned out to be good ideas? Maybe at best 3. Because I was forced to second-guess myself in the face of hard data that basically deleted what I thought were good ideas. And so now I had pruned, the business model to a more successful, business concept.
We use data the exact same way. Every decision that we make for a client, or when we're talking to a client and we're advising them, it's always backed up by data. It's not good enough that you feel like this or you want this. I want to say, okay, we're making this decision because XYD data tells us that is a smart decision to make. Mm-hmm. So we spend a lot of time ourselves as an agency doing, consumer research and that sort of thing to gather the data that's necessary to then direct that business in how they should communicate and how they should operate with other people. So I'm right there with you. Data is king.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were talking about, the business plan. Can you I agree with you that business plans are essential.
Right.
And we are always touting that for our clients, that they need to have a solid business plan and they need to have their budget in order and everything.
Right. The business plan, let me say this, and, with all due respect to everyone, to all aspiring and existing business owners, including myself, there's a saying, there are things we don't know because we don't know, right? And so the business plan provides a structure, a guideline for suggesting to the business owner, okay, these are the things you want to think about, right? So, for example, an aspiring restaurant owner, a fantastic chef, best chef for Japanese restaurants in the Southeast, thinking, well, since I'm the best chef, maybe they'll come if I open a Japanese restaurant. Now, of course, there's site selection. There's the, for instance, disposable income within a 5-mile radius of that
absolutely.
location. All the success factors may not come to mind for that particular chef because he or she's thinking about recipes and presentation.
The stuff they do know.
That's what they do. Yeah. So a business plan brings to light, all the other success factors. And for many of our clients, writing the business plan has been an eye-opener for them. And so it gives them a more realistic set of expectations for their dreams of owning a business.
What we build as an agency is we build strategic marketing plans where we tell businesses how they need to communicate with the public moving forward, and we build their brand and all of that. And we develop a book that you've seen it, a book that we build for clients that's filled with data and the research and all of that feeds into that strategic plan. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I will have businesses that are referred to us, they have a business plan, but it has a huge gaping hole in it. And that gaping hole is how they're going to communicate their business to the public.
Right.
And I've had, I don't know how much of this story I want to tell. I had a restaurant that came to me, referred to me by an independent business planner, right? Somebody that they paid to build their business plan. Mm-hmm. And they came to me, it was a restaurant. Everybody knows restaurants fail more than any other business. They came to me, we built their brand, we launched their business, and within 3 months they had run out of money. Mm-hmm. Which means the business planner did not allot for the money that they needed to operate over that full year. Specifically, the marketing aspect. Because she had enough money for her grand opening, but once that grand opening was over, she had run out of funding. Which means that she had no other way to tell other people about her restaurant. It was a restaurant, didn't know it. So friends and family was all she had. So I think it is very important that marketing be a part of that business plan.
Well, over the years, I kind of developed this mental framework for a successful business. And It tallies with the business plan. But to make it simple and easy to remember, I call it the three-legged stool of a viable business.
Okay.
Because as we know, if any of those legs is broken, missing, or weak, the stool falls, right? So I let them know that the most important part of that stool, which is your business, is actually the seat, because it holds all the legs together. And that seat is management. And management is all about strategy, is about organization, it's about leadership, it's about continuous improvement. Those concepts are if they're in the minds, in the consciousness of the business owner, then he or she can make all the other parts work. Now, okay, so assuming that the business owner has that mindset, all right, now, well, you worry about your production, how you're going to deliver that product or service. That's a whole discipline in itself. That's one leg. The other leg is administration, insurance, accounting, finance, etc., the back office. The third leg, just as critical as the others, is marketing. How do you communicate? Well, you need to communicate the goodness of your product or service to your chosen market. And and the whole, and Zach can speak more to this, but marketing, I let them know, look, you can have the best product, but if you can't communicate that to your to your target market, to your focus market, and that needs to be there, your focus market.
Yeah.
Because you have a marketing budget. If you can't communicate that, then what good is your product? So, I take them as a business consultant for SBDC. I help them develop the basic value proposition, the unique selling proposition again of that business. Help them focus or identify the focus market, but the actual implementation of Zach and Jennifer, you probably can attest to this. Coming up with a tagline is not a 30-minute job,
right?
No.
So you probably have to brainstorm that over a number of days, right? Because that is the persona of the business, and many businesses don't realize that, because when they're given a chance to stand up and explain why they are the chosen vendor or supplier, they say, oh, well, we have the best quality, but 2,000 other companies say that. So what is your unique brand? And so
you heard it here, folks. It's not just us saying it. Marketing, branding is important.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point. You could come up with a unique selling proposition. You can come up with what you think makes you different. But knowing how to craft all of that into a cohesive message, and then not only the messaging, but how are you going to showcase that message?
And not only that, who are you going to showcase that message to specifically?
Right.
Who is your target? Everybody, if anybody listens to this show regularly, I bang a drum on a regular basis about target audience. Because, the spray and pray technique of, machine gun advertising.
Everybody's my customer.
Everybody's not your customer. I guarantee a 95-year-old sweet little old lady and a, 18-year-old kid probably are not both shopping the same things. So it's important to know your target demographic and marketing analysis and things, putting the time in ahead of time to know who you're going to be talking to really pays off.
Yeah, and if I may add, as business consultants, we can only do so much, right? We're consultants, and so for companies like yours, your Formation Productions, we view you as part of the business ecosystem. When a business owner comes to us, they need the drill down on marketing. We set them in a general direction from a marketing standpoint, but in terms of setting marketing budgets, deciding on the marketing vehicles, wordsmithing, image and color selection, and all that, we have some idea about that, but that rests on the for people like you to do.
Right. Sure. Sure. Well, it makes sense. You help craft the resources and know what they need to know, but even you are not an expert in everything.
No.
So knowing to point them in that right direction, as that alone is a wonderful resource for people, because you can literally point them in the right direction. This is who you need to go to for this. These are the people that I know that do this. And, everybody, it's an old saying they used to have in the recording industry, because I come from a musician's background, where it's you have to know a guy. My uncle owns a studio, or so having somebody there that knows people to point you in is a value. It really is.
Mm-hmm. And so I wrote down some things I found very interesting in what you said, Benny, and the three-legged stool thing. I'm a graphic designer, so I'm very visual, and that gave me a wonderful visual that will pop up again in some of the social media you see.
It's actually very interesting, to interrupt you real quick. I have a drawing, and you've drawn this. I have a pyramid drawing that where I have you build the foundation for your business. It's built on 3 columns, which were your 3 legs, and then that leads to growth and et cetera. One thing that I do not have, which you just said, which was the seat being management. I don't know how to put that in my pyramid.
Maybe you need a stool.
I like that analogy, though.
All right.
So what are some other aspects that go into a good marketing plan? I mean, a business plan in general. What are some of the other pieces?
Management. Again, speaking of
that seat.
That 5-6 letter word. Management, whether applying for a loan, getting investment funding, or just for the business owner himself or herself. Managing the business, orchestrating all those moving parts to generate profit is the most important thing. So in the business plan, the management section, where it defines, the people managing the business and their competencies that are relevant and significant to the business is very important. So, for instance, someone who does not have experience in medical device manufacturing, but because it's the business or the entrepreneur thinks it's profitable, I'm going to go into that.
Right.
But he or she has a finance background or is an accountant. There's that's probably not. That's going to be a hard hill to climb. So those are the things that need to be threshed out in the business plan. And now that does not close the door. If an entrepreneur does not have that particular skill, because the management section can also say, we will be onboarding, we talked about this earlier, a fractional CEO who has 30 years of experience in the industry, who we will shadow and we will learn from during a 2-year period. And so then the business becomes viable.
Right.
So, but the management section kind of forces, I hate to say it, but forces the entrepreneur to think about, how will the business be managed?
Yeah, how will you actually do all the things that you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What are some other sections that you talked about management? What are some of the other ones?
I start off when I look at a business plan or help someone do a business plan, I start with the market analysis. Because a business exists because there's a need or demand for it, right? And if that is not established up front, all the other parts of the business plan wouldn't really make any sense. Why market a product if there's no demand for it? Again, going back to the business plan, that's the most important part. Market analysis. What is the demand? What are the what constitute the demand? Is it there's probably 5 factors. It's called PESTLE. The political environment, the environmental factor, the social factor, the technology factor, the legal factor. So all of these factor into the demand for a product. So, for instance, Southeast U.S., it's been said that we are going to be the new population center of the country in about 10 years.
Oh, boy.
So what does that mean?
It means I should move.
So is there demand coming out of that? So that's why we see a lot of assisted living places coming up, retirement communities coming up, because these business owners have looked at demand, current and future, and said, let's build these communities because there's demand for seniors and so on who need this housing. So that's important. So the second most important part for me is the competition analysis. So it's not enough to establish demand for a product or service. What is just as important is knowing, who's competing with me.
Right, sure.
Who are you up against?
And then the third section is the strategic position of the business. And that's where, that kicks off a lot of things. Yes, we have a niche market that we can succeed in. So how do we market to that particular segment? And so then the marketing plan comes, sprouts out of that, out of the strategic position section. So it's in the, I kind of thought about this because I was in the business of doing business plans myself in my private practice. And so I came to this realization, a successful business needs to start by defining a demand or need for the product or service. Then competition, strategic position, and then production, marketing, and administration of the business.
Mm-hmm. The legs of the stool.
Yeah. Now, besides self-awareness, which the business plan definitely does that, right? It definitely makes them aware of who they are. They can go through it, and it reinforces all kinds of things for them internally, for the leadership and et cetera. But there are other people that depend on that business plan too. If you're going to get financing, whether it's a loan through somebody, they want that business plan.
Right.
Angel investors, same way. So what are some other reasons why people need to not skip the business planning step?
Well, I would say that the business community, by and large, has grown very smart. Landlords, property owners, before they lease property, they will look for a business plan at this time. Of course, banks and suppliers, even suppliers. If a business is going to outsource production to a co-packer, for instance, of beverages, that contract manufacturer, the co-packer, would ask the business owner, well, how many units, how many bottles, how many containers are you going to sell in the next 6 months and 12 months, so we can plan our own production.
They have to have their answers.
And the business owner, if he answers, well, our strategy for the next 6 to 12 months is to penetrate these sectors in the East Coast, targeting these retailers to cater to our consumers. So we expect 2 million bottles for the first 6 months, rising to 5 million bottles within 12 months. And so when a stakeholder, as I might call a supplier or an outside party, hears this, they have a sense of confidence that,
right.
and then they can hang their hat on that particular customer. That's why that will come out of a business plan.
Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of times that I think that people. A lot of entrepreneurs and people that are starting businesses, they don't know what they don't know. And what the business plan does is it forces you to think about the business aspect of having a company. There's a lot of things that CEOs do, that boards of directors do, that your average person doesn't understand. And that business plan makes people understand this is the type of thing that management does, right? This is necessary because it backs up every decision that you'll make in leadership moving forward. And the business plan, startup business plan is just the first time. That becomes a living, breathing document from that point forward with the business. When we do strategic marketing plans, which are just a piece of the overall business plan, really, we do that to begin with when we're building the brand for the company. And then we revisit it every year when we start a new business cycle. So we go, okay, this is what we've learned from the previous business cycle. This is how we're going to expand or react to the market or whatever moving forward for the next year. And that is ongoing for the life of the business. And so planning is important. It's what makes you grounded and responsible with your business.
Absolutely.
My short comment on that, based on my own personal experience, is that writing a business plan creates what I call the business DNA of an individual, because of the research that person puts into the business plan, the analysis, and again, the self-doubt, the second guessing that happens, that really fine-tunes and streamlines all those ideas. And when a person does it well and does it diligently, he or she comes out a better business person, really.
I would imagine so. I would imagine it creates an all-in, like a buy-in for the entrepreneur. Like you can have an idea and it can be, pretty great. But the moment you start pouring yourself into that business plan, the moment it becomes very real and very doable, most of the time.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, of the three that you mentioned, right? So you have entrepreneurs, startup business. You have people that are looking to expand, and you have people that are looking for help or rescuing to a certain extent. Which of those three? What do you see most often?
Well, it would be those looking for growth, really.
That's positive. That's good.
And well, it's actually a deliberate, decision on our part as SBDC. We help about out of our total portfolio of clients, 30% would be startups, and then the rest would be existing businesses. That would be our segmentation, so to speak. So for the majority of our clients they either want to grow or are in trouble, and the third segment or the fourth category is those who want to exit the business.
Sure.
Ooh, yeah, handing it
Exit
off.
strategy. Yeah.
So, and again, that's entails a whole knowledge set again. For those again listening to the program, if you're thinking of retiring and getting a lump sum from the business, the short sentence is prepare yourselves 3 years before your actual exit, because potential buyers of your business, investors, and so on, will look at the last 3 years of financial performance before the sale of the business. So, if you can demonstrate an ascending trend of profits, then it's like stocks. People will say, "Well, better buy this business now before it gets any higher." Now, if it's on the descending trend, that's not a good thing.
Right. Yeah, I've actually had companies come to me within that 3-year window. They're like, I want to show that we can still grow. I want to show that we're a viable business before I get out. I'm wanting to grow it enough so that I can make maximum dollars when I sell it.
Right.
So their motivation is growth to sell it. I talk to people a lot about, okay, what's your end game? Do you want to leave it to your family? Do you want to make a mark on your industry, or do you want to simply sell it and have enough money to retire? And depending on what those goals are, depends on how we build that strategy out. But a lot of times people are within those last 3 years and they know that somebody's going to be looking at it. They're like, okay, I need to show growth within these 3 years. And that's our goal. That's what we go after.
So, Benny, how can our audience reach out to their local SBDC for more information or assistance?
Well, we have 17 offices in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
So just Google UGA, Small Business Development Center, to find those locations and contact information. Myself, I service the county of Gwinnett. So all you Gwinnetians out there,
I'm a Gwinnetian.
Yeah. Oh, good. So we have our offices about 1.5 miles from Sugarloaf Mills. We have a Lawrenceville campus of UGA, and
I've been there. It's beautiful.
And we have our office there.
Now, our audience is not just in Gwinnett, not just in Georgia. Our audience is nationwide.
Everywhere.
We actually have people outside of the country. This is just, we're talking about United States things here, but how could they reach out to or find if there's an SBDC near them, if they're in Chicago or wherever they might be?
Right. Well, since we have 1,000 offices nationwide, so again, I will call on the power of Google, right?
The almighty God of Google.
So you can, in very specific terms, put in your address on Google, right? And so a map will come out, a Google map will come out, and then click on nearby. There's a nearby function of the Google Maps, and when you click nearby, then just type in SBDC.
There you go.
Then you'll find the nearest
now,
office.
Now, does the SBDC office need to be near where their business might be located, where they live, or does it matter?
Are there any restrictions about location?
No, not really.
Anything that's convenient for them to get to,
Right.
they want to go to.
Right.
And no matter what state they're in, is it all free for use for the business owner?
It is, yes.
Okay, so no excuses, no matter where you live within the continental United States. Excellent.
Yeah, and before, our audience thinks, this is so hard. We've heard about business plans and all this analysis. That's the reason, consultants are here.
Benny likes it. Let him do it. I'm just kidding.
And that's the reason, marketing specialists, just like Reformation, are there to help. So the business owner, I look at them as coming to us as, with a power unit, with a power cell, with a general GPS, system. I want to start this business, and so it's our job and it's our role, and we enjoy it, to help, structure the business to reach that destination.
Set it off on the right path.
Right. So, what are some things that you wish business owners knew when they first started up? What are some things that I just wish people would really grasp this concept or understand this thing? What is one thing that you would pick that you really wish they knew?
That is the marriage of what they're good at and the demand for what they're good at. So those two factors. There's a demand for what they're good at, and if that equation exists, then I would suggest to that individual, pursue that, investigate that. Not necessarily start the business right away, but you have an opening. Whether you're an accountant, whether you're a lawyer, whether you are just a business person, assess your skills, take an inventory of what you're good at, and then look for the demand for what you're good at.
Right.
And that's the starting point.
Right. I agree. I tell people, people get sales and marketing confused all the time. And one of the things that I tell people, similar to what you just said, is when salespeople ask about how to sell more product, I tell them, your job isn't to push your product on somebody. Your job is to figure out what do they need, what do I offer, and where do those overlap? Mm-hmm. And then how can I communicate that in a way that's going to make them prefer me? Mm-hmm. That's your job. Mm-hmm. Not to, I want you to buy this. I know you don't want it, but I want you. That's
need this, because then you run the risk of lying to potential customers.
Right. Then you have shady salesmen
abusing that relationship that you're starting with them by trying to sell them something that they don't need.
Right.
Because sooner or later, even if they purchase it, or they're going to regret it, and then that ruins the relationship. But if you're able to provide somebody with a genuine need, if you're the guy.
That you can genuinely produce, mm-hmm. right? I am good at this. You need this. Let's get together and be friends. It's really that simple.
It's simpatico. Mm-hmm. This episode is brought to you by Tresta. Tresta is a business phone app for your iPhone or Android that allows you to activate a business phone number instantly and make and receive unlimited calls and texts right from the smartphone you're already using. Whether you're a freelancer or a founder, growing your business is all about communication and networking. You've got to be available. And chances are you've been giving your personal phone number out to clients so you can stay connected on the go. Tresta's virtual phone system allows you to separate your personal and business phone numbers and get work done anywhere, anytime. Tresta also comes equipped with powerful call management features like auto attendance, call recording, and user groups. It's easy to configure so you can set everything up yourself, all online, and customize your call flows based on your business needs. Tresta is the best phone app for small businesses and entrepreneurs, whether you just need a business phone number or if your team is ready for a complete business phone system. It's just $15 per month, and it comes with a 30-day free trial so you can see if Tresta's virtual phone system is right for you. Communicate smarter and more efficiently with Tresta. Start now at Tresta.com/straightshot. That's TRESTA.com/straightshot. All one word. So, Zachary,
Yes.
what is the straight shot from today's episode?
Let's see. The takeaways and observations from today's episode will include
Drum roll.
the SBDC is a resource for new and existing business owners that might need help with business planning as it relates to growth, repair, and startup. Key things to remember. So no matter where you are in the process, they can help you. Now, the big thing, the huge bonus,
Give it to me.
paid for by the state and federal government.
What?
So the government does this as a way to support small business within the United States because our country was built on the backs of small business. So no cost to the business owner.
That's amazing.
So some specific situations where business owners might need help might include needing capital or cash flow to support their business through business loans, outside investors, whatever it may be, for the purposes of startup, expansion, or repair. That's if you have cash flow
Course
concerns.
corrections.
Also, if they're considering building an exit strategy, right? Are they looking to sell their business and get out of it? They can help with the exit strategy as well. And then the third situation that I would call out is if you're needing growth or expansion from a business strategic perspective, they can kind of help say, okay, well, one of the ways that you could expand your business based on the statistics in the industry would be blah. Or you can say, I would really like to start making, pajamas for monkeys. And they'd go, nobody buys monkeys.
I would buy monkeys.
So they can-
and I would buy
they can
pajamas for
help you with
monkeys.
that.
I'm just saying. There is a market for it.
So they understand the leadership and management needs of business operation, and they know what resources are going to be needed by business owners in order for them to be successful. And they can point you in the right direction in any of the 4 areas that Benny here mentioned in his stool analogy. Now, you remember what they are?
Yes.
The first one, the seat, was management. Now, the SBDC offers education in leadership, organization, business direction, and other areas. They can also point you in the direction of an interim CEO or a part-time CEO, somebody for you to learn from until you can get going or hire your own CEO. They have those resources available to them. So that's the seat.
That's
right?
the seat, right.
And then we had the 3 legs.
Right.
So the first leg was administrative. That's what we call the back
end.
office.
That's right.
So what the SBDC does for that particular leg, but this is my leg thing. So what they do for that leg is they'll point out and make you aware of the needs that you're going to have in that area, which of course are going to include insurance, legal filings, accounting, finance,
bookkeeping,
all of that you
HR
may not have thought of on your own. So the second leg,
Yes.
which is my favorite leg,
Why is it your favorite
if
leg?
you can have a favorite leg,
I bet you do have a favorite leg. And why is that one your favorite leg?
because it's marketing.
Of course.
Now, at the SBDC, they offer classes in marketing, and they can also point you to a marketing firm or interim CEO if necessary. That's where our relationship intertwines with the SBDC. We also refer to them clients that are in need of their services, including additional capital or whatever that may be. So
pleasure.
that's why Benny and I are close.
Yes.
So, the third and final leg is the one that most people automatically assume, right? So it's not one that they're going to forget. And that is production. They help you think through needing expertise in that area. That means, how are you going to deliver that product or service that you're going in business for to begin with, whether you're, making widgets or, doing some sort of service, either one. They'll help you think through the logistics of that. So that whole analogy, the whole stool analogy, which I love, actually supports the pyramid analogy that I shared in the last episode. Love this analogy as well. But for the time that you work with the SBDC, they'll help you in focusing in these particular areas. They want to help business management through the planning stage. And they're a resource to point you in the right direction for things that you should be outsourcing to an expert. So, again, a great group of folks. We love them very much, and a great resource for business owners, management professionals, whoever you might be. So I recommend you check them out.
Well, Benny, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And sharing the SBDC with our audience. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to hit like or subscribe. It really helps us out. It helps people find us on the podcast channels. And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment that you want us to include in this series, leave it in the comments on our social media, or email us at info@straightshot.net, or call us at 678-825-8086, extension 300. Either way, we'll get back to you. We'd love to hear from you. If you have comments or questions about anything, let us know. If you have show ideas, we'd like to hear that too. But we'll be running a series on the small business startup. So again, if you're thinking about becoming a brand new business owner, if you're currently a business owner and would like a little bit of extra help or just some good old-fashioned knowledge and advice, let us know. Until then, we'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you found this podcast informative, we hope you'll pass along our web address, straightshot.net, to your friends, colleagues, and business associates. And please leave us a positive review on our Facebook page at facebook.com/straightshot. If you would like to have your question featured on the show, or would like to be a guest, call 678-825-8086, extension 300. Or you can email us at info@straightshot.net. Be sure to download the Straight Shot podcast app on your smartphone to hear previous and new shows. This has been Straight Shot.